Here's a quick scan of a 2-array Airstack modular chiller. This will be used for comfort cooling. You'll note the ECM fans on top of the condensers. Now we'll take a close-up of the single point power junction boxes, 1 per array, as well as the heat trace Hoffman boxes. You see the door interlock disconnect switch for the single point power, the wires running up to a power distribution block, and now we'll move in so we can see the individual module breakers, 1 per each module. Now let's talk in a little more detail about the heat trace used for this chiller's freeze protection. Each array has its own heat trace junction box, which distributes power to each module's heat trace box. As we scan here to the left, we'll see the first of 4, 1 per module. The 2 modules on the front have a quad outlet with 3 power cords coming from it. 1 for the evaporator, 1 for the top header, and 1 for the bottom header. The black device in the center right on the bottom row is the thermostat, which controls temperature. Again, we'll see the 2 boxes on the front with their quad outlet, a little bit bigger Hoffman box to compile the quad and the thermostat. As we move around to the back of the array, these 2 modules have a much smaller heat trace box with only a dual outlet with 1 power cord going to the evaporator. 1 for this module and then 1 for the module to the left. One final note about the heat trace boxes: each module's heat trace box will be fitted with a green LED light that will be illuminated to indicate that the heat trace is activated. 250 amp single point power disconnect that interlocks with the door, the single point power junction box on the left, and the heat trace junction box on the right. And now we're seeing the individual heat trace junction boxes in each module. And now moving toward the back of the second array, you'll see the 2 smaller individual module heat trace junction boxes. These are the condenser fans. The condenser fans are made by a company called Zeal Abig. They are electronically commutated motors along with an owl wing fan blade, which provides quiet operation. The ECM style motor works a lot like a variable frequency drive, allowing the fans to modulate their speed. The 4 bolts shown at the corner allow easy installation and removal of the fan and motor assembly. This next shot shows the fans boxed up for shipment. Due to the height add for our modules, we will ship the fans loose and they will be field installed by the contractor. There are the fans sitting on top of the unit and now scanning down to the front of a module. Power comes in on the right side, goes through a series of breakers, compressor contactors, down through a power transformer for control power. That's the electronic expansion valve modulator. Wire inputs, the manual off auto switch, and then additional control inputs. The 2 scroll compressors, pressure gauges for high and low pressure, liquid lined filter dryer, and the heat trace box. You'll note this is a slave module because it only has 1 Corel controller. Now we'll move around to the back side to get a close-up of some of the refrigeration components. That's a close-up of the high pressure switch in the liquid line coming down from the condenser. We see the isolation valves for chilled water between the header and the evaporator. On top and behind the evaporator is the liquid line solenoid valve, right there in the center of the screen. Beyond that, you can see the light gray color of the compressor sound blankets. close-up picture of the high pressure switch, manually resettable with the gray button, the leaving chilled water temperature sensor stuck in the bottom pipe there, the liquid line solenoid valve on top, a close-up of the liquid line solenoid valve. My finger is pointing to the electronic expansion valve, so you see the gray cable connecting to the expansion valve. And then these are a Schrader port for a high pressure gauge connection, the high pressure transducer, and the low pressure transducer in the background connected to the insulated line going to the suction connection of the compressors.